RDMS.
Whenever I do fight again, I need Christian Reynoso there on commentary. Otherwise, I'm not doing it.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Reynoso Noso. Christian here. I've had a chance to talk to some local guys, some real up-and-comers, some guys that I would consider legends, and this is one that I would certainly qualify as a legend. Mixed martial arts pioneer, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 5th degree black belt underneath Pedro Sauer, and now just at the helm of the inception of his very own Jeff Curran Invitational, none other than the Big Frog. Jeff Curran, thank you so much for joining me, my friend.
What a good announcement. You did a good job there, Christian. First of all, I'll say I'm proud of you too, man, with this show and all the things you're doing on top of your work and your family. I wish I had your last name to make the name of my podcast what you named yours, because it's pretty clever and I think it's catchy. It's all good.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate it, brother. Well, enough about me, but I will say this. I am grateful to people like you that helped me along my way, because had everything not happened the way it did, I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing right now. So that goes right back at you. So like I'm kind of referring to there, Jeff, you and I go way back. I've had the pleasure of not just admiring you as a fighter and as a coach. I've gotten to have you in my corner when I was still fighting MMA, and you're somebody I admire a lot. One thing that I really admire is the way you've kind of rolled with the punches in your career. You're no longer fighting, but you're staying super busy. I know you're on tour right now, so let's start right there and everything you're up to right now.
Yeah. So, I started jiu-jitsu traveling. Like when I was 14 years old, I think it was maybe I was 15. Took my first class at 14, and I think I took my first trip to Arizona with my buddy Tom to go train with Megaton when I was 15. And ever since then, I've been on the road. So that kind of naturally fit with becoming a fighter and having to travel to fight. And we were always, driving to local stuff, flying far away, whatever it was. And now that I for so many years, I would turn seminars down because people want to bring me in to, see what I have to share and stuff like that. And I just say, I can't, I got a corner this weekend. I got a corner that weekend. I got to fight that weekend. And everything about my life was fighting and coaching and doing all those things. So when I gave up, when I retired from fighting for the third time back in 2016, like November of 2016, I was 39 years old, almost 40. And I was like, man, I'm done. It's not the same to me. There's no big ladder to climb. There's no like monumental goal for me. And getting back to the UFC at almost 40 years old, it wasn't going to happen, things like that. So I said, okay, I'll just coach. Well, without being a fighter myself, it was weird. Like little by little, the fight team just kind of slowly got smaller, and I was trying to spend more time like being a dad, and just living life and doing things as like that I didn't get to do when I was a full-time athlete. So after COVID, I said, okay, I'm done with fighters. I'm done being a full-time coach. I'm going to focus on my jiu-jitsu program and spreading my knowledge of jiu-jitsu around the country and wherever I have to go. And thankfully, my instructor, Pedro Sauer, has this massive association. He's only one guy. So myself and a handful of others, we get to kind of float around the association and help schools that don't have an influx of knowledge every day. They don't have that. So we get to do a lot of seminars that way. And in the process, I built my own network, my own group, my own team, my own little association. And some of them are kind of in tandem with Pedro, and I just travel. So I do these little tours, and rather than wait for my phone to ring, if someone says, hey, I want you to come to a seminar on this weekend, then I'll call everybody in the path, and I'll say, hey, I'm going to Williamsburg, Virginia on this date. And then I'll go, okay, cool. I'll go here, 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 here. Sometimes I'll hit a few on the way home, and I'll go home. I make good money. I get to touch down with all my people. So I travel a lot, and then I also get to. I'm a bit of a tumbleweed my whole life, like I moved between my gym and my living situation as a kid and even as an adult. My wife Sarah and I, Sarah, we moved a handful of times, and to kind of keep things around and keep things alive. I moved 28 times. 28 times since the time I was 8 years old. It was either my gym or my house. So I don't mind being on the road. I don't mind being away. It's hard being away from my family. It's hard being away from my students, but I try to keep this trips short, and then I go back to work. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm doing a tour. I'm out here at my one representative, John Wynn. He's got an academy called Bushin here in Williamsburg, Virginia. And he's got a really great group of guys. I'm doing a black belt test tomorrow, doing a seminar on Saturday, and then Sunday morning I drive home.
Well, it's funny that, it's funny that you say, well, now that I'm done fighting, I figured I'd start doing this, that, and the other. Because as long as I've known you, Jeff, you've worn a million hats from the time that you were helping coach me. I know that when I came out to you to get some help back in the day, you were like, yeah, come on, come on, come on. You helped all of us, and you were actively fighting in the UFC, coaching the full team. Obviously, you're a dad. This idea of like having a million plates spinning at once, it's kind of always been a thing for you, at least from an outsider looking in. Is that kind of just like the environment you feel like you thrive in?
Yeah, this saying, like, if you want it done right, do it yourself. Like, that was a lot of things in my life, and um, I don't know. I just felt like taking the helm on a lot of little projects. Our fight team, for example, like, I remember when you and Lawrence came out, and you guys were students of Jay's, and I'm like, look, man, I don't want to take anyone's student. I went out, I had lunch, had a couple beers with Jay, and I'm like, look, you know, they're welcome to fight for my team, and I'll help them just like they're my own, and they can represent you when they do jujitsu. They can represent us both when he fights, and that's only you two and like maybe one or two other people in the history of my life are the only ones I ever done that for. Most of the people were homegrown. Most of them were, started with me and finished with me. Um, I didn't really like the idea of transplants, people that didn't have the same base as me. But I liked you guys. I respect Jay, and it was a good fit. So, you know, so you were a part of that group at that time where, like, when I started the XFO in 2003, I was like, I went to my manager, Monty Cox, and I said, on the way home from Japan one time, and I think I had broke my arm. It's when I did the tag team, and got my arm broken there, and from blocking a kick, and my arm shattered. So I was on a couple pain pill, pain pills, and I think I put one in my mouth, one in my butt. Whatever they gave me, they said put one up, one down. And then I drank a bunch of Japanese beer on the way home, and I sat up he brought me up into the first class because he had to upgrade. I said, Monty, I was like, what? I was like, we have to do what you're doing with Extreme Challenge in Iowa for your team, for your roster. I need to do that in my area. And we did the first two shows that we promoted were Extreme Challenge, like 55 and 58 or something like that. And after that, Monty's like, man, I don't know if it might be better if we just create a separate brand. I said, I'm glad you asked because I have an idea. And I showed him the logo and the XFO, Extreme Fighting Organization. He's like, cool, let's do it. I'll fund it if we fall short. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to rely on local promoters that are just trying to take advantage of people. I'm a fighter. I want to take care of everybody, not just my team. I want everybody to have a chance to, like, if my guys can't win, then they better train harder. Like, that's it. So, and then I said, but I have one request. If we're gonna do this, I want my buddy Dan Lardy to be a third partner. He's always been by my side. I want to bring him in. He's always helping us on our shows. He's trying to break away from his job. And he's like, I have no problem with that. So rather than wait around for a promoter to call and say, hey, do you have 155er? Or do you have a, a girl that weighs this? Like, I just got it started, man. And I remember getting Clay Guida, like his first fight, and we just built everybody. Everybody got built up and everybody got opportunity. And that was it. May the better man win. And that's what I'm doing with this invitational that we're kind of talking about. And why wait for someone else to call you up? Why not just go try to make a name for yourself and fight for it? Because us in the Midwest and MMA, we always were waiting for opportunity. The West Coast was getting opportunity. Brazilians were getting opportunities. Japanese guys were getting opportunities. But in the Midwest, if you didn't have a manager like Monty chasing it down for you, having the right contacts, even then it was a struggle. Like you had to fight for your place. And then you had to go and be the B side of the card. You had to go be the person that's expected to lose, You're the first one in the ring. You're waiting for the main of the popular local guy to come out and kick your ass. And
Right.
and I'm all about that. I rose to the occasion on that my whole career. That was fueled me, but they're few and far between these days. Nobody's taking the liberty to really, really build. I love what Anthony Pettis is doing with APFC. He's got a good show. Me and him talk, it gets me fired up and I want to fight again. So anyway.
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on it there, so let's go ahead and head that way. The Jeff Curran Invitational. I mean, jiu-jitsu is blowing up. It's the landscape of jiu-jitsu in general is changing. You said it yourself. Sometimes you want to do something right, you got to do it yourself. So let's talk about what's happening right now because yeah, jiu-jitsu is blowing up, but people have tried to do this before. I mean, if like think back even a decade ago to like Metamoris, let's say, or even like back in the day, a jiu-jitsu world championship would happen in an arena that was half empty. What's different now? What's changing? Why is the jiu-jitsu, like in your opinion, what is changing the jiu-jitsu landscape and what makes it the perfect time for the Jeff Curran Invitational?
Well, I don't think that my decision to do it was based on it being the perfect time for like the sport. My reason for doing it was I feel like it's the perfect time for me to have the energy to put into it. I had this idea 10 years ago to do something like this because I don't like promoting MMA. It's everybody, the second they sign a contract or make an agreement to fight an amateur fight, I was even an amateur fight, I should say. Next thing you know, they think they're superstars. I had a student of mine try to sell me a shirt and said I had to buy a shirt to work his corner.
That's hilarious.
What?
That's hilarious.
I go out, no, I'm good, man. I'll wear my shirt. I'm not paying $20 to coach you. I want to support you, but if you would have went about it differently, yeah, I would buy you a shirt, but don't make me. So there's a lot of like prima donna, things in MMA. I deserve this. I deserve that. My reason, I think my one main reason for doing that right now with the show too is like, I'm not going to I've been there and done that. You know that. I'm not going to sit back and let some up and comer tell me how it is. You know what I mean? Like tell me like what they deserve and this and that and all these things. Like dude, I got 27 matches. Everyone has accepted every match very gracefully. No one's asking how much they get, I'm like, just take a flyer on me and I promise you'll be happy. And if you're not, then you could tell the world you're not happy. Like, let me get through this one and now and come through it with me. And I promise you a great experience. I promise you're going to feel loved and taken care of. But when you're spending $120 every other weekend to do a tournament and you come and do a super fight, you're not getting 10 grand. You know what I'm saying? Like you got all these tournaments offering all these big paydays, but only the winner's getting it. And then it's
Right.
done and you go on. I want to create something that's stable, that everybody knows, hey, at the least I can do three times a year, two, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. I can fight for Jeff. I'll make money. I'll get exposure. I know what to expect. It's a good card. You know, I'm not just trying to be like some feeder show either for some of these other guys. I want to be the show, you know, or at least one of them. I know I'm not going to like, I'm not unrealistic. I'm not going to try to like, nor would I want to. I'm not going to try to be bigger and better than EBI. I'm not trying to be better than the Fight Best Invitational or Fight to Win. Like Seth has done so much stuff. It's like, I'm not even trying to compare myself. I'm just trying to be in my own lane and give somebody a fresh perspective on what it's going to be like to compete for somebody who is also a competitor and not like Craig Jones, who's up to antics of like, and it's fun, it's entertaining. I like watching it. But it's not me. So don't expect that from me. You know, I still like to promote the martial arts etiquette. I like to promote the old school team rivalry that's been lost. Everybody seems to have open mats every weekend with all these different people all the time, and nobody seems to like hunker down with their team and be like, yo, let's quit going to that open mat. Let's kick the shit out of these guys, you know? Like where's the like fire to go? It's our team versus their team. We can like them, we can all be friends, we can maybe train once in a while together, but like maybe we should not all just train together all the time. You know, the tribal thing is a big thing to me. Fight for your team, fight for your respect. So, yeah.
You know what's funny, man, is yeah, like I'm from the old school as well, right? Like I don't I'm not necessarily like the freaking old school, hey, is it Creonchi? Like no Creonchi's welcome, like Brit, but I I like the idea, right? Much like yourself of like, hey, let's defend our squad, right? Like having like this is our territory, right? Let's all have a certain amount of pride that goes with it. And it's just kind of ironic that as we get away from like the old school martial arts mentality of respect, because you see it more and more nowadays, it's about like gym drama and like controversy and shit like that on social media, right, between teams. As we get away from that, we also have gotten away from, like you said, the tribalism that went with representing your squad and your team. So it's like we have this weird like juxtaposition where it's like everybody wants to beef with each other, and that's how you get like headlines and get attention. But at the same time, everyone's training with one another. It's like it creates a situation where like, well, of course people are going to start butting heads and shit. And of course there's no respect as far as a team goes, right? Like, and to each their own, but I think it's kind of a weird state right now that we find ourselves in.
It is weird. And like I remember, like I was always cool with Clay. Me and Clay Guida got along from day one. He was not his brother. Jason Guida was a dick to me all the time. We just didn't get along. I shake his hand and get along with him now. And actually a couple times I'd seen him over the years. We're fine. But at one point when they were training with Gilbert Grappling, for example, he called me like, I'm gonna fucking drown you in a puddle, you fucking piece of shit. Next time I see you, I'm gonna drown you in a puddle. Like I'm like, cool. I think this rivalry's heated up, you know? I, I think Gilbert Grappling versus Team Kern at the XFO is gonna be bananas, you know?
Yeah.
So all about that. And like speaking of rivalries, like they can be healthy. Like Dan Hart owns Hart Jiu Jitsu. It used to be Triton, then it was Alpha, and then he had a nice move, I think, last year, maybe I don't know exactly, maybe it was last year, and opened up a new academy. He's 10 minutes away from me, right down the street. And I have never been on the same team, but we've always gotten along. We've always been friends. He's respected me. He used to fight on the XFO, and I would go to him and be like, yo, why are all these guys from your gym talking shit about me? And he's like, I don't know, I'll talk to him, you know. And then it was like this back and forth. But like now, in this nice, respectful environment, his black belt Mark Miller gets to go against Justin Seaberger. They were slated to fight against each other back in the XFO. Never happened. They both have a wrestling background. And I'm like, Justin's like, I'll do it. Man, I'm down. Mark's like, I'm down. I'm like, hey, Dan, you want to have this match? Like, yeah, cool. I'm like, cool. Well, like, we're just always helping each other out. But like, make no mistake about it. Those two are fighting for bragging rights. Those two are going, and that's the pressure that they need. Myself, I took a lot of time off from competition. I fought in the Master Worlds in 2023. I went 3-1. I lost my fourth match 2-0. And basically tied for fourth out of like whatever 56 people. My last no-gi super fight that I had before that was Metamoris, as you spoke of, and that was in 2015. And so I took a super fight in Nitro. Um, Matt called me up and asked me if I'd do it, and I said, yeah. I didn't know much about Mike Reyna, but I know he's old school. He's been around. And I'm kind of warming up and I'm getting nervous. And I pulled Justin aside and I said, hey, I want you to remember this. A couple months from now, when you're nervous because you're fighting in front of your students and your family and your friends, look at those stands. That's all my students, all my family, and all my friends. I'm fucking nervous. I've always been nervous my whole career, but that's what's made me perform. That's what's made me show up. I would never ask any of my students to do anything I'm not willing to do myself. I'm like, so don't forget that, because I know some of these guys competing, they're going to be behind a curtain waiting for their name, and they'll have seen the crowd and the lights, and we got the full production going, and they're going to be back there, and they're going to feel it. They're going to feel it. The legs are going to be heavy. They're going to be sweating for no reason. They're going to be like clammy, and there's that feeling, whether you're getting punched in the face or not. You might go get embarrassed in front of your family and friends, and people say, hey, is it worth it? You spend all this money to do all this, and then now you're going to go compete and you lose. Like, there's a lot of weird shit that goes on in your head when you're getting ready to go out there and put it on the line. So we had that local rival feel in a few of these matches and Justin and Mark is the big one because they're 10 minutes apart and they both are black belts teaching full time at competitive schools. Meanwhile, I'd be more than happy to just sit next to Dan during the fight and watch him go. My friend Mike Diaz, he runs a camp every year called the Train High Camp in Park City, elevation 7,000. But it's really rough training at high, by the way. And he's after the Friday session, we break down, we do super fights, and it's all like Pedro Sauer Association guys fighting each other. And we make a pact like, hey, when our guys are going against each other, no coaching. Me and him just sit there and watch, and we let them go. And it's cool, like I won one last year, he won one this year, and it is what it is. But it's more fun when you're really fighting for those bragging rights of the town,
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I completely understand like the evolution that we're seeing, where it's like cross training here and there. Um, it is what it is, and it's all good. Like I know that you're at a level that if you wanted to compete again, you may go out and find training elsewhere. If I'm not mistaken, you've done that in the past, like training for big events, right? Um, but it is weird now how it's like, all right, well, this tournament, I saw this guy was representing this team, and then the next tournament they're at another team, and then they're at another, and it's like
jump around, jump around, jump around.
it's a little, I don't know, it's just now, I guess I'm 20 years into jiu-jitsu, which is probably about half as long as you've been doing it, and it's weird to me, but I guess things are changing. Um, we talked about how there are all these new shows now, right? Like we haven't talked about UFC, BJJ, but obviously that's new on the scene. EBI obviously has been around. I think they have the 25th event coming up, but they've been evolving as we've gone along. What are some things that you're seeing right now in these shows? And not to like trash them or anything, but are you seeing anything in these shows that maybe you want to do differently at JCI? Or maybe something that you really like that you're like, let's adopt this, and like this is all good.
Both. I mean, I feel like they're all very little things, but like sometimes I'll be watching and I'll say, man, maybe this rule set will work. So I have this idea of a rule set. This will be my first rollout of it, this show. And we're having a referees meeting next week with Mark Vivas as my head ref, Mark Wallen, Rob Hines, and Bernadette Bernie from Top Level. They're all refs, and they're all like ready to like dig in and like let's make sure we all are on the same page with the rules. So I don't have any like bad criticisms for them. My only thing is this: EBI is very hard to get to stay busy with. If you're a bantamweight and you want to do the bantamweight tournament, it might only happen every couple years.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot happens in a couple years. If you don't overperform, if you don't have a big performance, if you don't fill a void that they needed, you might not ever get another shot. Whereas like I want to try to be the balance to that. And I want to also just want to be another option. I want to be another, if you got EBI the weekend before my show and you tell me you do, I'll be like, all right, cool, man. Like I can replace the jujitsu guy overnight. It's not like MMA where we have to do all this crazy shit. Just like I got a few people doing the worlds the weekend before my show, and it's okay. Like they're trying to be active and climb that mountain a little bit. But so I think my biggest thing with like EBI is that it's such a big thing. It's all the big names. It's all elevated, like upper echelon guys and big things. It's not realistic for the year round work. It's not like, oh, I fight for EBI 3 times a year. I keep busy. It's been 5 years. I've had 15 matches. I'm 12-3. I won a title. I lost a title. And you got all this like history and footage and like EBI, ADCC. These are like, they're for the one elite person who's going to win that bracket. And that's really it. Or you're out there trying to win it, but I don't know. That's just my takeaway on it. Craig Jones is using some weird gimmicks to get eyes on it, and he's just the way he is. But again, I'm entertained. I watch it. I don't care. It's just not me. It's also I don't look at it and go, I want to get on that hype train. Get me a match in the Craig Jones Invitational. I don't care to be a part of the show.
Sure.
I just want to bring some like really, I guess the word would be like a little bit more class back to a sport that is based on a martial art. It's not, I didn't like the turn it took with MMA. I loved Conor McGregor until he became Conor McGregor. I didn't mind a little shit talk. It's still fighting. Like I appreciate a Mike Tyson approach of getting in someone's head, I appreciate some antics when they're not antics. When that's your personality and that's how you do it. But when everybody under the sun starts trying to do it because they think their coach is telling them or their manager's telling them, like, you gotta get a mohawk. You gotta talk some shit. Like find a gimmick. It's like,
Yeah.
or maybe just be a better fighter. I went through my career very humble like that. And I went through my jujitsu upbringing humble, but also cocky in my head, but not cocky in person. I tell myself, like in a seminar, I made my name going around the Midwest doing seminars, and everybody, dude, that's Jeff Curran. That's that guy's telling me about. There's no social media. There's no videos. And what do? How did I get noticed? Anyone that rolled with me, I went for them. I made my name, and it's like, I don't know, I fought for my respect. And I fought for my team. I was very proud to be a part of a team, going back to that whole thing. But yeah, that's kind of where I see it. I see that a lot of people are putting on shows but look, Midwest finishers, there's a whole bunch of them, but like they're necessary. They're there for people to come in, challenge themselves, maybe make some cash, have some fun, but like the credential, if they win, is good for them, but their exposure is not the greatest. I think that starting from scratch, my exposure is going to be minimal, but with the right plan, I feel we'll get a lot of eyes even on the reruns, like the replays of these streams. Um, so yeah,
One thing I'll say is this, and not to cut you off, Jeff, but like, um, both even for me jumping in like on the broadcasting side with your show,
we didn't die. You got to let everybody know. Like,
oh shit, did I just break news? Did I break news?
you did break news. It's good.
All right.
I'm gonna do a formal rollout of it, but like, yeah, and by the time by the time you put this out,
Yeah.
a day or two, it might be out. But like, yeah, you and Jessica Penning. Jessica's a black belt. She's a UFC fighter. She's knowledgeable. She's professional, and you two are gonna be, you know, filling the audio stream during the matches and keeping everybody up to speed.
Yeah, super excited that I get to jump in and alongside someone like Jessica, a fellow black belt, somebody that I respect greatly. Um, what I was gonna say there, and this is special, I think, and I'm sure Jessica would agree, it's special for us to get in at the inception, you know. I have plenty of shows that I've gotten hired to jump in, and it's like, all right, welcome to blah 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 event number 37, right? But for me to jump in and to be here for for the inception of the Jeff Curran Invitational, it's a big deal. It's an honor, and I believe in you. I believe in your projects, so I'm really excited to see where this goes. And the reason I mention that is I think for a competitor, whatever the level, it's a great opportunity to come in, make a name for yourself on this stage immediately, right? Like make a splash at the JCI right away. And, as it continues to grow, get an opportunity to grow with the Jeff Curran Invitational.
Yep. And I'm very loyal like that. Like, I'll I'll tell you the dates ahead of time. Like, hey, please keep these free. I'm working on an announcer. I was gonna get Chris Ordesky. He's a black belt out there in Canada, and I've cornered him many times, but he's in Europe until the 8th. So, but I also, aside from that, because I know he's busy, I'm like, man, maybe Ray Flores, because Ray built his career on the XFO, and now he's done Premier Boxing, Showtime, HBO. He's done, I think he's working for ONE FC now. He's doing everything. But like, I think if Ray's got the weekend off, he'll be very happy to come and welcome everybody to the JCI stage. So I'm waiting on a text back from him, and if that's the case, then we definitely have a great crew ready to go for this first one.
Bro, that'd be amazing. I'm gonna get in Ray's ear a little bit too. He's a busy guy, but we'll hit him up from different angles.
If he's not in a boxing show or an MMA show, he's available. He'll come. I know he'll come. But man, I want to like, so like going back to some of these shows that have constant like super fights. There's not a big crowd. There's not a big stream. There's not there's not a lot of exposure for not just the athlete, but the sport. I put a press release out. I hired a lady to do press release for me. And it's been in like 4 different publications, the same one. I think there'll be probably another 3 or 4 between now and the show. Some of the papers are holding out. They've all been invited to come cover the event. I got a podcast from my sponsor called the 258 Podcast. And they're going to be out there trying to talk to athletes post-fight and like get them some exposure through their podcasts. And they're trying to grow their podcasts, and I'm trying to grow my show. Whatever we got to do to say, hey, look, this sport of jiu-jitsu is exciting. And if you tune in, you won't be let down, be involved. So, but if it's just like a jewelry gym and there's a couple of guys grappling, it doesn't look very exciting to the average person, because they're like, I guess the sport is still struggling to make a name for itself. UFC BJJ, of course, is elevating it to the highest of highs, but they're only going to take the select few. So where's everybody else fall? Fury is great. Rob Heideck, You know, he has I think Cage Fury Fighting Championships and the Fury Grappling. Dude, his show's bomb, dude. It's awesome. Like the last one, I text him during the shows, like I want on, like I want, like I'm
Of
not.
course you did.
What's that?
Said, of course you want on.
Oh, dude, I know it's so bad, it's so addicting, all of it, but it's like that's where you get to the spectator who doesn't know anything to go, what is this? I had no idea this. We know the jujitsu guys don't care. I can watch jujitsu matches from my phone, from somebody recording from you know, a little iPhone from their gym, and it'd be I get what's going on, and I'm intrigued by the match. But the general public needs to see that like everyone's investing in the sport and to try to make it look as good as we know it is. And sometimes that's rule set. It can't be stalling. There can't be, you know, just points and all these things. So I'm trying to make it exciting. So anyway, that's why I kind of created my rule set. I think it's going to go off well. There might be a few adjustments. I'm also doing matchups based on age and skill level, like you would in a tournament. So I could have like an undercard of people who are exciting and don't compete regularly, but this gets to be their moment. They get to come out and have an experience, and they, you know, they might not have to worry about having their knee wrecked the next day because they're fighting at an amateur level, so they can't do twisting heel hooks. But the mid card and the upper card, the main card, you know, yeah, they're all going to be going at it. But yeah, man.
Yeah, let's hit that main card real quick. We don't have to, beat down every match, but you said, like it is the type of platform where, you don't necessarily have to be a big name to jump on it, but you do have some big names on there. Of course, Joey Deal, longtime staple of the Midwest, somebody obviously you have a long history with. And you mentioned Fury Grappling. He was one half of their co-main event very recently as he vied for their bantamweight title. So he's an extremely high-level grappler. He's in your main event taking on Timmy Carpenter. That matchup could easily take place either at Fury Grappling or at any one of these big shows.
Yeah, I mean, the more I got to know Timmy, like when I found Timmy, I was really trying to find a good match for Joey because Joey has always taken on all comers. You know, he come up under me, and sometimes like the deciding factor was like, man, that dude is just like, he cut a lot of weight, he's massive, and it's like Joey was better, but couldn't quite get past some of the physicality because of the time restraints or whatever the case might have been. I don't want Joey to have those, someone like Joey or Timmy to have those worries. I don't want to have big weight cuts. I want them to fight within their natural range. So when I found Timmy, I started researching him. I became more and more of a fan of his. I think he's a great kid. He's really exciting. He's going for it. He's studying. He wants to win. And Joey is one of the most game grappling well, MMA fighters too, but like one of the most game athletes ever in my life, in my sport. He just hasn't broke through to the big show to get the big name, but so have so many others not had that chance to do that. Doesn't mean they're not there. They just haven't had the right platform. So they both got a chance here to go and make that name for themselves. I know Joey, like for example, talking about Fury, he beat Junior Ocasio, and he became the #1 seed in ADCC, and he beat him by a knee bar, I believe.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a knee bar.
that obviously fueled Junie to go and win the worlds twice and come back and redeem himself against Joey. But like, make no mistake about it, that will fuel Joey to go, yeah, man, I think I could catch him if I get another shot. I'm going to do things a little different. Or, he's smart enough to make the adjustment. But that's the cool thing about jujitsu. Like, that's the cool thing about grappling in general. But you don't just go, oh man, I lost that fight. I lost my value. You go, no, on to the next. You just go out there, and keep doing it over and over again. And so I'm really excited about the main event. I made that a title fight because um it most definitely could be a title fight in any other show. if it doesn't end quick, it's going to be a scrap. You know, if there's not some like crazy finish right out of the gate, it's going to be a scrap, and it's going to drag out, you know, through the duration of the match. So that one's a really big one. What else we got on there? I think we got,
We talk about Justin Seaberger, right? So Justin obviously representing not just your team, but you know, representing your staff, right? He's been teaching for you for a very long time, and I think that's really cool. You know, leading from the front, much like yourself, stepping on to take on Mark Miller, who also leading from the front for Heart Jiu-Jitsu, right?
yeah. And the local thing is always rough. Like that, like if you're a local guy and you got to fight another local guy, it's like, man, it's so much more fun fighting the guy from out of town who nobody likes, you know? But
Right.
when the crowd's 50-50, it's kind of like, man, I don't want to be the guy walking home with my head down, but the we all know that the crowd wins, but like everybody can walk away with their head held high because they actually stepped up and put it on the line, and a lot of people don't. So that's a big local one. Um, Kyle Perkins and Hayden Buckner. Hayden just took silver at, I think, one of the ADCC Opens. He's a game competitor. He just won. He fought in Park City in a super fight, um, where I was at running at the Train High camp, and he's just solid, man. He's come up under Greg Nelson and that group, and he's also very much adopted kind of like the constraint intentional training type methodology, and it's really helping him. Um, so he's like he's a jujitsu nerd, you know, he's in it. He's digging. And Kyle's no different. Kyle's a problem solver, and he's you know, another one of my black belts. So it's interesting for me to sit back and watch one of my black belts fight one of my friends who never met in training and are both out for their own reputation, and I could just sit back and be a fan.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, not just sit back and be a fan for what it is, but these are two high level guys that you're gonna get a real show. I mean, like you mentioned, Hayden Buckner's been coming up, and I got to do a little research on him, and Kyle is another one, along with Joey. They've been out there just kind of getting in those reps at the big tournaments, and that sort of stuff is gonna speak volumes. Really excited to see how that matchup comes together.
Yeah, and speaking of high level matchups, Caleb McAllister is taking on Josh Neer. And yes, Josh, the dentist Neer, UFC fighter and known for knocking people's teeth out, basically. Like Josh is a monster. And Josh, I saw him a couple years ago at Chicago ADCC, and he was competing there. He just felt like doing it. And he messaged me. He's just like, man, this show's got me pumped up. I got to do it. So I said, well, this is the match I need. What's your weight? You got to get down a couple pounds. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. And we made a deal, and he's in. So it's that's a great one, man. Because Caleb McAllister is like one of the most focused competitors you'll ever meet, and he's also like all these other young generation guys. He's like, and I mean this all the respect in the world. He's a jujitsu nerd. He's got all the modern lingo, all the updated names of things. He's right in it, you know. So no holes in their games, no holes in these guys' games. And you know, Josh is a Cesar Gracie black belt, I believe, and you know, he teaches and trains full time, and he's been in wars, he's been in high pressure situations more than Caleb. You know, Caleb's probably been in more situations because he grapples so much, but Josh has been in those sold out stadiums with that pressure, you know.
Right. Yeah. And it's a clashing of generations, like just the new school versus old school, right? Like you said, you could stay active, right? And obviously Josh does teaching and being in the gym, but
They're not that far apart in age, 5-6 years, but they are different generations for sure.
well, what I was gonna say is like There's something about these young new school guys, like that very next generation. I jokingly call it like the guys that have the TikTok jujitsu, because it's like they have like all this like modern lingo and all this stuff that I'm like, what is that? And they're like, I'll send it to you later. I'm like, send it to me later. Like, what the fuck is this? But it's a totally different thing. And credit to Josh, credit to Caleb. Like, I love the clashing of styles. I love old school guys like you and me, like getting out there. Um, that's dude. I was so excited. Right? I was like, Josh, the dentist near. That's a great one, man. Let's. But now again, I say that we said we talked about Caleb as being like an intellectual jiu-jitsu guy, right? Because we didn't want to use the word nerd. Um, I'm gonna use the word. Oh, did you? All right. Yeah. Well, I feel like I could use the word nerd because I'm clearly a freaking nerd, dude. Like personally, it doesn't bother me, but I know some it does. Other guys that I don't know, I put under this same umbrella are guys like Aaron Brooks, who we also see in the card later tonight. Just a real crowd favorite, somebody that's been super active in the jiu-jitsu game locally, the bigger stages. You have him stepping in to take on a real hungry competitor in Paul Biwak.
Yeah. Paul is a student of mine from my affiliate school in Team Kerr in Madison, and he did a super fight uh not this year but last year in Utah and won by triangle, and it was a good match. Um but he's not super active because he works full time and whatever, but man, he's wrestled his whole life, and he picks up on everything. And I wanted Aaron on the card because, he'd reached out, and Aaron's, you know, definitely one of the more active local black belts that like I respect and want. Like I want to have like all the guys like Jeff Seraphin. I want all the guys that are in our area. Jeff and I didn't connect. I didn't reach out to him, but like maybe in the next one I can get Jeff Seraphin. Like I think I might compete on my next one. Like I want to have like a big, massive like local legends type show too. Like where we're all just taking on like other good guys. But anyhow, the with Paul being so decorated, he wrestled all the way through college, grade school all the way through college. He told me, he's like, yeah, everyone always said he's probably the nerdiest wrestler they'd ever met because he's like a programmer and he's super intellectual. So I think that kind of works, if he's fighting Aaron, because Aaron kind of comes off the same way, right? Just put a couple jujitsu nerds against each other and let them go.
I love it. That's the kind of jiu-jitsu I can relate with, man. Just a couple of, sometimes you got to push the glasses up a little bit, and it's no big deal, man. Um,
But Aaron and I, like all these years, I've never competed against him. I've never shared the mat with him. Um, not to get off track, but like every year I do an affiliate training day, uh, usually around my birthday. Like my birthday is September 2nd. So the weekend before my show is my birthday. But because my son Ty starts college and it was the Master Worlds that weekend and I got to move him in and it's like a whole bunch of things going on. I put my affiliate date to September 6th until I decided to do this show. Well, now I'm moving and during that affiliate day, I do a big corn roast. I cook sweet corn. I soak it in water, for a couple hours. I have a process and it's the best sweet corn you'll ever have. So I usually get like a big ass tent and we open up my garage doors and we get coolers of drinks and beer and soda and we have a grill going and everybody rolls and usually it's just my team. But this year I'm doing it on Sunday after the invitational, and I'm asking everybody locally to come back or stay the night and stick around for the training and for the corn, and asking everybody that are flying in from out of state because I got two guys from Utah, I think the Georgia area, a couple from out east, and all over the place. And I'm like, you guys just got to stick around. Don't go home till Monday. Stay and celebrate with us. Train. Let's just all. Now that the competition's over, let's build our community of jiu-jitsu, not our teams individually, and let's just all be friends and don't forget to get some corn. That's it. So I have that big corn party the next day. And I asked Aaron to come, and I hope he does come. And if he does come, I hope I get a chance to roll with him, and if everything's still good after the match. So
Yeah, actually, I've been, like we've known each other peripherally over the years. I think when he was coming up in the jiu-jitsu scene, I was still competing in MMA. I've never shared a mat with Aaron, but that being said, I have like real similar vibes. Just seems like a good dude. I love the train hard, be kind moniker thing they got going there. It's kind of just, new school, old, it feels like old school soul in the new school nowadays, and I appreciate that. Another matchup though, I do want to touch on a couple more before we wrap this up, brother. Michael Mutter, I know he's one of your black belts. He's stepping in and take on David Porter. That's a super exciting fight.
Yeah. David Porter is like one of my best friends in jiu-jitsu. Um, I've known him way longer than I knew Mike. Mike came up under Daniel Vanderlei at Rufus, and I think around brown belt, he moved to open guard, and he trains at open guard in Economo Walk, and that's where I met him. But I don't think he left on bad terms. I don't know. I don't ask, but he joined their team, and I would see him at seminars. And then, as the years went by, he ended up winning the brown belt Master Worlds. He's a game competitor. He does a lot of super fights and cage grappling. I think he's done some MMA. I've rolled with him. He's super tough. But Dave Porter came up under Pedro Sauer, so him and I were really tight friends. A few years back, he went out on his own. He's got his own thing. And I'm like, man, I can't have a grappling show without you on it, Dave. Like, you're my boy. Dave is famous for this. Dave Porter's famous for the quote, Porter's Law, and that's the class you miss is the class you need the most. So we talk about it all the time. But Dave, man, Dave is super slick, super good. I told Mike, you got to be well prepared and take my advice, do some research, because like I want that from Mike. I want Mike to be challenged. I want to know, where does someone like Mike stand against someone like Dave. I don't want to just protect Mike's reputation or my reputation. If he goes out and gets beat by Dave, he's got work to do. If he goes out and puts up a great fight or wins, we know where he stands. And Dave, he's always game. He's gone against the best. He's beat some of the best. And I'm a huge fan of both of them. And I'm really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you're a humble dude in a lot of respects, and I appreciate you saying, yeah, it's an opportunity, like you said, for people to come make a name for themselves. But yeah, you do have a lot of names on here that I think folks are going to recognize, brings a lot of credibility to the organization. Not that it doesn't already have it with your name across the front. It's a lot to get excited about, my friend. How about we tell everybody how they can tune in and enjoy the Jeff Curran Invitational on September 6th?
Well, first of all, if you like submission grappling and you like jujitsu and you want to support it and you're within driving distance, come to the show. You could either go to jcinvitational.com or fightertix.com. Scroll down to my link and get tickets. Come out. I got these like VIP table seats where you're sitting 3 feet from the mat, nothing in your way. You're just facing the mat. There's like a good amount of those left. A lot of the tables are sold. They're moving pretty good, but if you're local, just come support an athlete. If you're not sure, you want to come, not sure who to support, just buy a ticket and come watch and enjoy it. But for all the people out of state, we have Jeff Curran Invitational YouTube channel. We will be streaming live. We'll probably start a pre-show, which might be working out some glitches around 5 o'clock Central Time. And at 6 o'clock Central Time, we'll try to start the evening off. Yourself and Jessica Penne will be doing the commentary. Jessica, she's a black belt and she's an amazing fighter. She, fights for the UFC. I'm really excited about that. You two kind of leading the charge there. Felice Herrig will be in the house. She's going to be there as a special guest. My professor, Peter Sauer, he's going to be in the house. He's doing a seminar that day up north, so then they're driving him down. Man, it's going to be a great time. I think we have a lot of I think we got 27 fights. So we're going to roll them out. We're going to take a couple intermissions to give support to all the sponsors that are helping me make this possible, and show some videos and just show some hype videos about what's going on. But follow me at Big Frog BJJ on Instagram if you don't already. And I also have an Instagram page for this show, Jeff Curran Invitational. But I'm very active on my own, not so much on other sites, other handles. But I appreciate talking to you and getting to, get into it a little bit about certain things. I hope that people that watch this share it. You got a really cool thing going on. I know you had Joey on a couple weeks ago. Um, Joey Deal and Timmy Carpenter fighting for that title. Everybody's got to come make some noise for those guys. They deserve it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for joining me, brother. And again, thank you so much for bringing me into the JCI. It's a privilege to be a part of it. It's a privilege to be associated with all things Jeff Curran. And yeah, buddy, it feels like you're bringing some real firepower to the first show. A lot to get excited about. Like you said, I think if you're in the area, the move is to come on out and enjoy it in person. It's always better in person.
And the place that it's at, the MAC, it's an indoor soccer place. We're doing it on their basketball courts. They have a really nice cantina, so they'll have food and drinks and beer and margaritas and the whole thing. They have really good Mexican food there. It's a really great venue. Like they've done some cool stuff there. My kids grew up there playing soccer, or my one son grew up there playing soccer, and it's one of my favorite places to go, watch soccer because I can drink a beer and eat some tacos. But they're going to have all their food set up. You can come there. You don't have to even have dinner. You can come enjoy the whole night and just make a night of it.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I want to give them a shout out just because you brought them up again. Jacob and Ty, if I'm not mistaken, they had some say in you'd finally pull the trigger on this JCI, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Ty brought it up. Jacob agreed, and then Ty didn't let up. He's just like, Dad, I'm telling you, you got to do it. You got to do it. I'm like, I want to do it. I go, you guys, you don't understand how much work it is. Like, yeah, but you could just do this. I said, no, you know how I do things. Once I decide to do it, man, we're doing it. We're doing it right. What did Conor say? Speaking of Conor McGregor, I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over. That's my mindset. I don't want to just be throw some mats on the ground and walk in and compete. Like I want to make it a bit of a spectacle because I feel jiu-jitsu deserves to be elevated and recognized. And the Gracie family did that with the UFC. The athletes are doing that every day in every gym and every tournament all around the world. But every once in a while, we got to put a magnifying glass on it and blow it up. And I want to be one of those shows that does it.
And credit to you as well, because I think right now, a lot of times when people realize that they're gonna need a little bit of that spectacle element to their show, they quickly they blur the line between spectacle and circus. And I think sometimes we need to remember that this is like a martial art, and keeping that class involved. I think personally, as an old school guy, I appreciate that a lot. My man, Big Frog Jeff Curran, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. And September 6th, it all goes down. Head over to the MAC. I'll have a link in my bio as well, but head over to Big Frog BJJ. Stay up to speed on all things Jeff Curran Invitational. So for myself, Christian Reynoso, the Big Frog, thank you so much for joining me, my friend. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks, Christian.